Hello and welcome. You're watching BQ Prime, and today we are discussing the auto sales number that are coming out for the month of November. And joining us is Mr. Shashank Srivastava, the Sales and Marketing Senior Executive Officer with Maruti Suzuki India. So, sir, I wanted to start with your assessment of this, how the sales panned out during the month, because in the first 15 months, as we saw, it was the festival season, and after that, sales usually start to wither off a little bit. So, do you think that there was a difference in demand patterns in the first and second half of the month?
Yeah, exactly. So there was a difference in the demand pattern. The first 15 days, the average retail per day, average booking per day was much higher compared with the post 15. And if you look at the total months, overall numbers in perspective, in the month of November, in the industry, 335,000 vehicles were wholesale, with about 322,000 being the level last year. So that was a growth of about 3.9%. Retail were a little higher at around 348,000 or so. That meant there was a small stock correction. Still, the stock levels in the industry remain at around estimated 330,000 levels, which is around 30 days. Not really a matter of great concern, but since it's December month, I would expect the inventories to be brought down from this level by the OEMs and the dealers.
Do you expect any rollover effect of this high inventory towards the month of January or February as well?
No, I think you would see the maximum effect in December, where I would expect wholesale numbers from the industry to be low, because dealers as well as OEM do not want to carry the old model stock end of December. And I would expect retails to be higher because there would be a huge push from the market for retailing these vehicles. And I would expect therefore discount levels to be slightly higher. And of course, because there is going to be a price hike, some of the consumers who would otherwise take vehicles in January would probably like to prepone their purchases. So in December, I would expect wholesales to be lower and retails to be higher.
Okay. And there has been a little bit of what we can say is a dichotomy between the entry-level cars and the SUVs. And we have seen that for many months now, SUVs are carrying over the growth of the entire car industry. So I just wanted to ask that how long can we depend on these SUV category vehicles to drive the growth of overall industry? And do you think that it will be enough to drive growth in the FY25 as well?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because in the current financial year, so far growth is around 7.9% or so, and most of this growth is actually driven by SUV. In fact, for these hatches and the sedans, there is a negative growth. The positive growth coming from largely the SUVs, 26% growth, about 8 or 9% growth in MPVs, and about 7% growth in vans. But the largest segment obviously is the SUV. More than 50% of the sale in the industry coming from SUVs now. In the last 3 months, September was 52, October was 51, 53% plus in November. So you're right. Much of the growth is driven by SUVs. For the next year, while we are still making an assessment, so I can't really give a definitive reply. We are still researching the data. But to me, prima facie, it appears that the growth levels for next year may not be very high, because for the exact reason that you just mentioned, you would see some tapering off on the SUV growth. And unless the smaller cars segment also revives, it might be difficult to see a large growth in the next year.
So your own sales that we saw, if we see just on the SUV part, that the growth has been 50% for the month if you compare year on year. But if we see the monthly run rate, the number there is going down. And you can say that it has come down from the peak a little bit. And in the call that with the journalist, you said that there has been little issues with the parts of some models. And I just wanted to understand what is the primary reason for this monthly run rate going down, and what are the specific parts that are affecting the supply of these vehicles?
Yeah, so overall, of course, the bigger picture which we have to understand is that there is an overall number on a month-on basis which has come down. So October was the peak at 391,000 vehicles. come down to 335,000 in November. So overall itself, it has come down. And that's not unusual because the dispatches in October obviously were in anticipation of the higher sales during the festive season, when typically dealers will stock up the vehicles. But overall, therefore, while the SUV percentage has gone up, as the overall pie itself has become smaller. So that's one big reason. And of course, we have done a lot of correction already in terms of the stock levels, which maybe the industry would like to complete in the month of December. So we started the process already. And as far as the availability is concerned, yes, we had issues in November with some of our models, especially the CNG availability was a little less. And therefore, overall, the numbers were affected. But I think the larger reason is the pie itself being smaller, and the underlying reason for that lower wholesale obviously is that dealers and OEMs are preparing for a lower stock in December end.
And on that note, can we say that the red hot growth that we saw till in the current financial year, we have seen the highest ever April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and November sales. So would you say that the rest of the year is going to be ended on a somber note instead of the red hot growth that we saw till now?
Yeah, so actually, if you see even this year, this highest ever Jan, going back to the calendar year, actually Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, all have been the highest ever, which is like great in terms of overall volume. That's red hot. But the growth itself, as I mentioned, overall has been 7.9, and that's certainly not red hot. And going forward, because we had a strong base in Q4 of last year, I would expect, and this is that the year should end up with something like a 41.3 lakh vehicles compared with 38.9 lakh last year. So that's like a growth of 6.1%. So yes, there would be moderation in growth levels. My expectation is this 7.9% will become 6.1 or 6.2% by the end of the year.
All right. That was one last question to you, and thank you so much.